Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about my hatred of B-plots and why I sort of hate that phrase and why I think a lot of writers suffer because they are thinking about their story in terms of B-plots. So recently a student in the practical screenwriting course was talking to me about the length of his feature-length screenplay and how it seemed like he was going to be under the page length that he wanted. It looks like he was going to be landing around page 75. He was trying to get to that 90 or 100 pages point. And he was saying that, oh, I will just, add a B-plot love story or something like that, and that's going to bring me to that 100-page point. And I really hated that mindset because when you are viewing your story in this way, you are just adding a love interest or adding a B-plot for no real reason. You don't actually know why a B-plot should exist in your story, and you don't actually know why a love story should happen in your story. So here's how you should actually think about this, because what you really need to do is define what you're saying when you say B-plot. And you need to think about what is the best way to think about a B-plot if you're actually writing something like that into your story. So when you are adding characters to your story, the reason that you're adding a character to your story is not to hit pages, it's not to add a love interest, it is specifically to find another way to challenge the beliefs of your main character, right? Because again, your story, just like I talked about in the last video, your story is going to be about beliefs in conflict, beliefs that are then tested through external conflict. And so the different characters in your story should either support or contradict the beliefs that your main character holds. So in this sense, when you're bringing in, say, a love interest, the reason that you would bring in a love interest in the story is to find another way to attack or to challenge or to test the beliefs of your main character, right? That is how you would actually correctly incorporate a love interest. And so when you think about B-plot, a lot of times people think about this secondary story that's going on in their main story, but that is a really harmful way to think about a B-plot because you're sort of taking away from the main purpose of your story and the main philosophical conflicts and the main belief testing and the main themes that are happening in your story. And so the B-plot needs to be integrated into that. So if you're going to actually define a B-plot, the best way to define a B-plot is this. The B-plot is a secondary conflict against your character's beliefs that happens outside of the main external conflict, right? So let's say if your B-plot is a love interest, then that means that your love interest of your character is going to challenge the beliefs of your main character outside of the external main plot of your story. So that is what actually creates an A plot and a B plot in that way, where you're gonna have just this other character that is not directly involved in the main events of the story, but is still attacking or challenging or testing the beliefs of your main character. That's the best way to integrate it. You don't want to be in a situation where you are just adding plot to your story, okay? There's no reason ever to just add plot. You need to know why, on the philosophical conflict level of your story, why you're going to add external events or characters to your story. Because your external events and your characters exist to serve that idea. Because that idea, the idea of philosophical conflict, the idea of characters' beliefs being challenged, is the core of storytelling. And so if you are adding things to your story that are not involved in the core of storytelling, a lot of times they're gonna fall flat or they're gonna be a really boring part of your story, right? And so while you can have interesting, awesome, flashy scenes and these sort of stuff, the best way that you integrate all of this sort of secondary flashiness is by grounding it all in the core philosophical conflict that is taking place in your story. And when you can do that, it's gonna make all of those scenes and all of those characters work so much better. Because without that, you're just adding things to your story and just to add pages, and that's never where you want to be in your story. And so if you think about that with a love interest, it's going to create such a more interesting relationship and love interest in your story when that specific character is used to challenge and test the beliefs of your main character. So I hope that makes sense. do not just add pages to add pages. If you find yourself just adding pages to add pages, you're in a problem, and you need to go back and think about what is the core of your story, what are you truly saying with the story, what is the beliefs that are in conflict in the story, and how should you incorporate these new characters or this B plot into your main philosophical conflict. And that's what is gonna give you this focused, coherent story, which is what you want ultimately. And I hope that's helpful to you. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.